G'day amigos and welcome to the For Diego's Hot Topic. I'm Rodrigo Rodriguez and with me today is Carlos Alberto Diego and Warren Diego. Now with Euro 2012 reaching its climax, you know, the football's been sensational as it always is in Europe. It's just a phenomenal thing to watch. But what really makes this tournament very, very difficult to take sometimes is the racism that goes on off the field and sometimes even on the field. You know, Spain and Russia have been basically fined for monkey chants towards, you know, African origin players. Mario Balotelli's always on the receiving end of that. Germany have been fined. We've also got Croatia and Poland. A couple of players have been, you know, the victims of racial abuse. Spain's been involved again, as I said earlier. You know, how do we get rid, that's the big hot topic question, how do we get rid of racism in football generally? It's a blight on the game.
You're not going to get rid of it. I mean, I'm not saying, there's two parts to this. You're not going to get rid of it because it's part of society. It's a reflection of the society that we're in. Does it mean that you shouldn't fight it? Of course it doesn't. But if you think you're going to get to a situation where you're not going to have people who can pay money to get into events and then not act in an appropriate way, it's always going to happen. I think the problem in my sense, the problem for the organisations is that perhaps the only way that you stop people in the stands from being racist is that they don't get a country or a club to follow in that competition. But then you're taking away from the competition and you're almost punishing the players. You know, if Spain or Germany or Poland or Russia were banned from a UEFA competition or a FIFA competition, that would make fans stand up and there'd be that tipping point of saying, well, we're not going to accept it anymore. But the bottom line is, if you have competitions without those teams, you're not going to have everything else that goes with the game. The money to fund anti-racism programs is going to go. So I think it's a hard one for the people who manage sporting competitions.
But the game's got to do something, and I agree with you. Football's just a stage for these idiots to do what they want to do. It's just an excuse. It's a forum for them, and it gives them a worldwide forum to do it. It happens in Italy, happens in Spain. It's interesting, though, it was a huge problem in England for a long time in grounds, but they self-police there. They're very serious with their CCTV and also people within the crowd texting anything that goes on in the crowd. I think strategies can happen within stadiums to actually try and at least eradicate it from stadiums. There's a lot of black players in England, and a lot of them copped a lot early in the careers when they didn't do it, especially before Hillsborough, where there wasn't, you know, there was a lot of standing room at grounds. It wasn't all seaters. There wasn't as many cameras. And I think the English authorities have gone a long way to at least not let it be a stage for these idiots at football. It doesn't mean that we're removing it from society, because that's there, and I don't know, that's an education process through schools and everything else. But I think ultimately football can do more. I don't know whether UEFA's serious enough about it. They fined Nicholas Bentner €80,000 for ambush marketing with underwear, and they fine these associations where their fans have played up, you know, half the amount. I mean, is UEFA serious about it? There was a fantastic Panorama documentary on Dateline on SBS before the Euros started about the racism, you know, embedded in Ukraine football and in Polish football. They're not serious. Those authorities aren't serious about eradicating it. The English are. Again, not eradicating it from society, but certainly eradicating it from their grounds.
Now, Carlos, I'm going to say one thing, and I don't know, you are one of the greatest twits in the fact that you tweet a lot. And the reason why I say that is I think that players have a part to play in this.
Absolutely. And
not necessarily because Mario Balotelli deserves to be racially abused in any way, shape or form. But players are involving themselves in social media forums where they're often loose with their language. The descriptions of fans and players is loose and not.
That's no excuse for anyone
it's about
to
setting a standard.
But are you saying that because someone like Mario Balotelli gets on Twitter and you know, sometimes on the pitch acts like an absolute dill, because he does, regardless of his colour, he is a dill. Are you saying that he brings it upon himself?
No, I don't say he brings it upon himself as such. But I think the way you conduct yourself and the way that you are seen brings a respect in terms of your performance as a player.
You've got idiots out there who wouldn't care, wouldn't even know you, They don't even know these people, and there's monkey chants. They throw bananas on the field. Gazzetta dello Sport, the Italian newspaper, just in the last 24 hours, one of their cartoons was Mario Balotelli as King Kong hanging off some. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's ignorance, I know, but that absolutely perpetuates this stereotype, this whole idea that it's okay.
There is no doubt, Carlos. Sorry for interrupting. There is no doubt that those Mediterranean countries that a lot of us originate from, our ancestors originate from, have an issue with racism. And I'm talking about Spain. I'm talking about Italy. Potentially France as well. Those countries that people look to, as thought leaders politically, they have the biggest issues in Europe. And
all the more reason why football has to make a stand.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying for 1 minute England have got it right, but I've been to grounds in England, and any homophobic sort of chanting or any sort of comments, any inappropriate comments to do with culture, racism, you just don't hear it there because people know it's just not acceptable, and you're going to get caught. Because you've got cameras everywhere, you're going to get caught, and there's people in the crowd who are going to dob you in. That is enough to educate people that there is a standard of behaviour that you've got to go through. And it might make them think twice in society. That's why I think it's a way of educating people. But when it's allowed to run riot with the ultras in Italy, with the neo-Nazis in Poland, with the fascists in Ukraine, if it's allowed to run riot there, we're not teaching anyone anything. So I think the federations can do something and clubs can do something. They're just got to get serious about it.
They do, but it's the chicken or the egg. These guys, these people, these groups are the ones going to football matches in most of the countries on the continent of Europe. Maybe not so much England. If we look at the crowds in England, they're very much mixed in terms of sex and age group and race. But the simple fact of the matter is on the continent of Europe, the people keeping these competitions alive and going to the games and paying their money are these people that are at the extreme ends of different political opinions.
Yeah, but I would say that the people going to English football families feel that they can go, women feel that they can go because of the stance that English football has taken. Hasn't always been the case with English football, by the way. I think Hillsborough really woke people up. The stadium set up, the cameras. I think there's a structural thing that people are more aware of, and also how strongly the players come out through their union and talk about let's kick out racism and all that, give racism the red card and all those sort of things. England are on the way of trying to get it right. It's one thing they do as well as they can.
It's such a shame that it's not just confined to the stadia where the games are played. It's now also on social media such as Twitter, when Ashley Cole and Ashley Young, who missed penalties in the England game, who were both black, were both racially vilified via Twitter, and there's investigations going on. So and
by the way, there was a person on social media who's been jailed in England for racially abusing a player, and I think was quite inappropriate with players. So there's precedent there in England, and I think throughout Europe they've got to be serious about this. And Spain isn't serious about it. They've never been serious about it. Play beautiful football, but you're garbage when it comes to these social issues, especially within the ground.
I'd like to leave it there on the point on Spain because they are repeat offenders. By the way, Warren, our viewers won't know, but you are a humanitarian, and I was just having the discussion about putting words in your mouth. So it's a tough topic to talk about, but it's a topic that needs to be spoken about.
Culture is a reflection of leadership.
That's true.
Just remember that.
Yes, it's like when you just crack a joke on stage, Warren, you just want to get off right away and just leave it there while you're ahead. This is the Four Diegos with our hot topic. Until next time,
Olé!